My name is Michael Hunter. I'm a chartered physiotherapist based at hayfieldphysio.com, and I specialise in clinical Pilates. And today I'm going to take you through a 40-minute long session where we go through some basic Pilates exercises using a mat and no real other equipment that you would need. So I've got a mat here. You could use a couple of towels or a yoga mat if you've got one, or a couple of yoga mats on top of each other. We're going to start our sequence in standing. We'll start with the feet together, and to find our correct foot position, we are going to turn the feet out about 45 degrees, leaving the heels together, and then bring the heels in line with the balls of the feet, so that we've got two vertical thighs, as vertical as we can. And we're just going to position our center of gravity evenly across the foot. So we're going to let ourselves move forwards to the front of the foot. You'll notice your toes claw. And then we are going to transfer our weight backwards towards the heel. Your feet are just starting to come up. Get a feeling of falling backwards. And we'll just move forwards, backwards, and find the middle point. Find the sweet spot halfway between those. From there, we'll think about the weight on the inner part of the foot. So we can let our weight move onto the inner part of the foot, and then onto the outer edge of the foot. And those are our two extremes. And find the midpoint. And we're looking for the weight to be balanced evenly across the whole foot. From there, we'll place the hands on the pelvis. If I come side onto you. So we're going to think of the pelvis like a bowl of water, and we could pour the water forwards and out, and my low back arches. My pelvis is tipped forwards and down. Or I could pour the water backwards. My pelvis is now tipped back, my low back's quite flattened. So I'd like you to just roll the pelvis forwards and backwards through those two positions, and feel how that changes everything in terms of your hip and knee position. Might also change the head position. So this is our pelvic tilt, forward pelvic tilt, backwards pelvic tilt, and then bring yourself to the middle position. Find that kind of sweet spot halfway. So that might be kind of a natural position for you, or it might not. Then think from there about the lower tummy, and I'd like to think of the lower tummy moving in towards the spine, narrowing that space from the front to the back. And that creates some lift through the crown of the head. So we're looking for this elongated spine with a lift through the crown of the head while we maintain good balance across the feet, good pelvis position, and we tend to call this our key elements. So we're going to maintain those key elements in position, and we're going to take our right arm forwards, just comes up, and then circles round. Left arm forwards, and circles round. So if I'm side onto you again, as my arm comes forwards, I want to just try to limit this tendency for the hip, for the upper back, for the thoracic spine to lift and circle. We're trying not to change our spine position, trying to maintain that spine and ribs down as we reach up and circle around. Then the left arm comes forwards, up, circle around. One more each side, right arm, and left arm. Let's now, I'm going to come back a bit so you can see me a bit more camera. I'm going to take both arms up I'm going to come into a side bend. I'd like you to imagine you have a block or a ball in the hands. So we're keeping that distance the same. Over to the left. Now fairly gentle with these side bends, and the hips stay exactly where they are. So we're not letting the hips swing over. We're going to keep the hips over the top of the feet. Fairly gentle with these warm-up movements. Maybe just going a bit deeper for the next one. And perhaps getting a feeling that you're kind of reaching away through these arms, like you're stretching to pass the block or ball to a partner. Over to the left. And reach long through that side. Back to the start. Can you extend a bit further to the roof? And then circle those arms down. So let's just roll the shoulders. Breathe in as you roll up. Breathe out as you roll down. Breathe in to lift. Breathe in to lift. Breathe in to lift. Half roll down to cat stretch. So if I'm side onto you, I visualize myself stood with my back against a wall, and then I'm going to peel the spine down one vertebrae at a time, link by link, allowing the spine to roll down and forwards, slightly softening the knees, and I'm going to try to keep my weight balanced through the foot, through the feet, as I roll down, just to where my hamstrings, back of the thighs, start to kick in. Well, many people will start to take the weight back here, and now my weight's more in the heels, or really forwards, and you feel your toes clawing. We're looking for that even weight through the foot. We reach the bottom there, breathe in. Now let the knees bend a bit deeper on the out breath. Draw in your tummy and get the feeling of the abdominals drawing you up. Coming up in reverse, restacking the spine. Breathe in. Breathe out, peel down. Breathe in at the bottom. Breathe out, knees deep. Draw in the tummy, we're hollowing. This thing is zipping up. Restacking the spine, one vertebrae at a time, finishing with the head. Lift through the crown of the head, even weight through the feet. One more time, breathe in. Breathe out, roll down. Once we have come up from that roll up, we're going to circle the arms. We're going to reach up to the roof with your hands. We'll be able to see my hands, but we're going to really try and get the extra height. I'm trying to stretch for the ceiling. And then I'm going to circle those arms round. I always like to add a little bit of balance practice in with our warm-up. So we're going to start that just standing forwards actually. I'm going to come standing off the mat. It's better to be on a firmer surface. I'm going to place my hands on the pelvis. I'm going to balance on my right leg, and my left foot is just going to be off the ground, if you can really see that, and just light, very light contact of that left foot off the mat. I'm going to create tall lift through the spine, neutral pelvis, narrowing in from the front to the back. And my left leg is just going to circle around, circle around, circle around, circle around. Looking to be nice and still through my key elements, which start with the foot, the knee, the hip, the pelvis, the spine, and lift through the crown of the head. One more circle, and then a change sides. So move with control onto my left side. My right foot just lightly tapping there. Re-establish my position. Circle round and back. Circle round and back. Circle round. Circle round. Couple more. And are you even weight through that foot? Or we start to claw the toes? Okay, we can come back to the start position, and then we're going to change position completely. We're going to come onto our mat. We're going to start in position called 4-point kneeling, quadruped. You don't really need my mats, my block to start with. So knees are under hips-ish, and looking for a vertical thigh. Hands not directly under shoulders, because that can end up putting a bit too much compression through the wrist, not always too comfortable. Just slightly forwards, so that the angle on the wrist is a bit kinder. So the first movement we're going to do in 4-point kneeling is called a cat stretch. Really, really simple, basic Pilates movement. You also see it in yoga where they call it cat-cow. The beginning is a rounding of the spine. The forehead tips down, like you're nodding down towards your tailbone. As you do this, the tummy muscles draw in, and we breathe out. Then drop the spine, breathe in and extend. Breathe out and round. Move through the whole spine, but notice where you may feel stiff. Breathe in and extend. Breathe out and round. Breathe in. And now we'll come to the midpoint. So that sweet spot halfway between those two positions. We're just going to do a little kind of hip sway. I don't know if you can really see this on the camera, but I'm just going to let my hips glide to the right, glide to the left, and you'll notice the weight move more onto one knee, and then more onto the other. And then I'm going to turn this into a dog looks back at tail. So I am side bending to look back at my tail, and then look back at the other tail. And we're just introducing a bit of lateral flexion of the spine, and we're unloaded, so there's no compression through the spine here. So it's a really kind, gentle way to mobilize our back. Now, if you are finding a bit uncomfortable on the wrists, just take a break when you need to, join in when you can. Return to neutral. Let's take some pressure off those wrists completely. We're going to sit back into a shell stretch. We sit our bottom back towards our heels. Forehead, it might not touch your heels. Forehead comes down towards the mat. It's a bit like child pose in yoga, although in child pose you tend to be more active through the arms. We're going to be soft through the arms. And we're just going to breathe here. Okay, to come up, we're going to become more active through the arms. We'll walk our fingers forward a bit, extend through the elbows, and then as I kind of feel of pushing the ground away, rounding up the spine, and returning back to our neutral. So from here, my right arm is going to reach forwards. Before we do that, just let your pelvis glide left and right again. And now bring that to the neutral. Now try not to allow your pelvis to move at all. I'd like to think about drawing in the tummy, moving the lower tummy in from the front to the back, narrowing that space. Try to keep everything really still, long through the back of the neck. Breathe in. And on the out breath, my right arm reaches forwards, circles wide, all the way around to the hips, and back through the center, and comes down. My left arm reach forwards, circle wide, and down. Right arm reach. Breathe out to reach and circle. Now with this left arm, we're going to turn this into a thread the needle. My left arm is going to reach forwards. It's going to circle round to the left. Rather than coming down towards the hip, it's now going to come through, close to the floor, and back. Then my right arm reach forwards, circle round, through. Breathe out to go through. And return. Change sides. Not too quick. Reach, circle wide. Let's do one more each side. Left arm, circle wide, thread the needle, return, right arm reach, circle wide, thread the needle. A little bend on that left elbow. And return. Let's sit back for another shell, just take the pressure off those wrists. Allow our hips to move in towards our heels. To come up this time, we're going to keep our hips towards our heels. We're going to push through the hands, walk ourselves back up. Respect your knees, obviously, if there's any issues. Bringing myself gradually up into kneeling. I'm going to unfurl the spine. And I'm in my conventional kneeling position. Okay, so we're going to change position completely. We'll need our thin thin block or our roll towel. And we can come into our what we call a rest position. So to find our rest position, we start with the feet together like we did in standing, and then we turn the toes out 45 degrees and bring the heels in line with the balls of the feet. Put my feet together, turn my toes out, heels in line with the balls of the feet. If I have a little look, my two thighs are parallel. I don't really want them knocking together or falling apart. The two parallel lines. I'm going to bring my hands to the pelvis. Just get a feeling for the edge of your pelvis. Feel there are two bony points here that form like knuckles on a crest that goes all the way around the pelvis, like the rim on a bowl. Get a feel for those. And also on head position, we don't really want to be tipped back like with the dentist or like our hair washed. We're looking for length through the back of the neck. So from here, we're just going to do a movement called a pelvic tilt, a bit like the cat stretch really, but it's just isolating the pelvis. We roll the pelvis forwards, and then we roll the pelvis backwards. And as you roll back, thinking of using the tummy muscles, this is a bit like the postnatal pelvic floor exercise. So if you know that, then this is what we're doing. Breathe in, release that tension. We can't have those muscles on all the time. Breathe out, roll back. Breathe in, roll forwards. And as we breathe out and roll back, think of using the tummy, rather than put, there's a tendency to want to push through the feet and the legs here. See if you can just pull through the abdominals. Breathe in. Breathe out, roll back. Breathe in, roll forwards. Breathe out, roll back. Now, as we're doing this pelvic tilt, have a little notice. Are you beginning to hold tension around the chest and the shoulders? If you are, can you just let that quieten down? Now bring ourselves to the neutral position here. And again, we're going to focus on the lower tummy. Get that feeling for that lower tummy moving in. We're going to use the heels of our hands on those two bony points that we felt before. So just feel that they stay still. Like we did before, just let your hips rock left and right. Let your pelvis rock left and right and feel how that movement occurs. So we're going to try to bring that to a neutral position. Now we're going to try not to allow any movement to occur. So the pelvis and therefore the spine and the hip joints are all really still. This is a movement called a one-leg stretch. We're going to start with the right foot. My right foot flexes. The heel comes off the ground. And now abdominals are on here. My low back is very gently in contact with the mat. I'm going to extend that leg away close to the ground. And then I'm going to point for the return journey. Left foot flex and reach. And return. Right foot. Now imagine you're pushing, sliding that heel through sand. Or maybe like a stone that's just skimming the water, very close to the ground. Lengthen, lengthen. So the legs moving, but the real focus is on what's going on at this pelvis and abdominal area. Can it be steady as a rock? We can use our bony reference points to check that that's happening, and all the while this gentle drawing in. So this is a one-leg stretch level 2. My right hip comes up to this position here. It's called tabletop. So I've got a vertical thigh, a horizontal shin, and a nice 90-degree angle at the knee and the hip. So then I'm going to extend that leg away, and very briefly the two thighs are parallel, and this right leg is long, about 45-degree angle from the floor. Back to tabletop and replace. Left hip fold, one leg stretch level 2, back to tabletop and replace. Fold, reach. Fold, lengthen away. Just watch for that tendency for the pelvis to rock a little as you change from one foot to the other. That's when the pelvis is going to want to tip over. Return. Fold, reach, lengthen, and down. Okay, so from that position there, we'll leave the feet there. Let's bring our hands down to the mat. We're going to do a movement called a shoulder bridge. Some Pilates schools call it a curl up. That's quite a nice image. The movement is a curling up of the spine. My spine rolls back, and then I peel up the spine, one vertebrae at a time. I'm looking for like an articulation of the spine up. I'm coming to the top of my bridge position. I'm going to breathe in here. And then think of tipping the pubic bone towards the belly button to peel the spine down. See if you can lay the spine down, finally the sacrum, as if you were laying down a string of pills. We can roll the pelvis forward at the bottom if you like. Breathe in. Roll it back. Breathe out. Pause here. Breathe in. Breathe in, roll forwards. Breathe out, roll back. Pause here. Forwards again. Roll back, last one. Lifting that spine like we were lifting a string of pearls from one end to the other. Pause in the top, breathe in, and breathe out to peel down. And release. Okay, so let's come into a hip twist level 2. We're going to open our arms, well, we're going to take our arms to vertical, turn the palms to face in towards each other, and then open them out wide to what we call a crucifix position, with the palms turned up. I'm going to bring the knees and feet together. This is quite a nice, gentle spinal mobilizer. My knees and feet should stay glued together so that, and also my shoulder blades should stay grounded. And the abdominals are on. We're not just going to flop around here. My knees roll to the left, and I breathe out as I do so. So I'm over here to the left. Abdominals are very much on. Right arm is really active and engaged with the floor. Take a pause here for breath in. Breathe out. Roll through center. And over to the left. Over to the right, sorry. Breathe in here. Breathe out as you come through the center point. Over to the left. Breathe in to hold. Knees glued together. So we don't want to flop them apart. Feet stuck together so my right foot is off the ground. Over to the right. To the left. Make this one the last one to the right. Pause here, breathe in. Use the abdominals to draw the knees and the hips back through to the center point. And then open out the knees and the feet, and we'll bring our arms down. We're going to change position completely. We're going to roll onto our tummy. And I'm going to use my towel for my forehead. My arms are just going to be down by my side, and slightly away from the body actually. So my arms are in like what we call a low A-line position. So there's our crucifix, so there's our low A-line. And my palms are turned down to the floor. I'll start the sequence at my pelvis. So often you'll find that pelvis tends to roll forward, the back becomes a bit more hollowed, and it can be a bit uncomfortable in the lower back. So I'm just going to tuck under a little bit using my glutes to flatten the lower back a little bit. I'm going to keep that position on as I raise the forehead. Forehead comes up about an inch, and my hands as well. This is a movement called the dart. It's a variation of the dart, the classic dart. I'm going to pause here for breath, and then come down. I'm looking for length through the back of the neck, along and out through the crown of the head, and the arms not just lifted, but kind of like try and make those arms long. Can you reach for the corners of the room? Extend. So we don't really need height, we just don't need to be coming up like this with loads of extension in the low back, tends to become a bit uncomfortable. Less is more in terms of height. Couple more. And release. I bring my hands about chest level, and you come up back into table pose, 4-point kneeling, however you like. If you're fine with it, you can curl the toes under. You can push up through a press up position and bring the knees back, but you could come up however you like. So don't really need my towel there. This is a movement called our Superman. So my hip's going to stay really, really still again. And I take my left leg back, my right arm grows long. Now again, we're not looking for height, horizontal limbs. We come back. I'd like you to imagine there's a cup of water on the back of the hips here. And if we make any sudden movements or the hips lose their position, we're going to spill it. We breathe in here. We breathe out to reach. Abdominals are definitely on. Breathe out to return. More each side. Last one each side. Think of length through the leg, length through the arm. You can point or flex the foot, not too fussy there. Can be nice to just see how they feel differently. And release. Okay, we're going to change position. I'm going to lie on my left hand side. I'm going to place my roll towel underneath my head, between my head and my arm. My heels are in line with my spine and along with the long axis of the mat. I'm going to place my right hand on my hip. Now this is a completely relaxed position, so I'm going to become into a more active position. I'm going to think of that length through, kind of length through the top waist, and there's a little bit of lift in the lower waist. My front hip should stay still, just trying to not allow it to roll back. This is a movement called the clam, or sometimes called the oyster. I open out through the hip and I return. Open and return. Trying to avoid the tendency for the pelvis to roll back. Often I tend to want to kind of do this. It gives you the illusion that you're lifting it higher. The effort comes from the backside. I'd like to keep my length through the waist. breathe out as I open. In on the way back. 1 and 1 more time. And then release. And change sides. Heels in line with spine. Lower arm long. Towel between head and arm. Left hand on hip, long through the left waist, and then open. Breathe out to open out through that hip. And last one. Okay, so from there, I'm going to roll onto my back. Pull over my head. Hold for my head, sorry. I'm going to do a simple stretch for the glutes, for the hip. My right leg is going to come over the top. And if this is quite tricky for you already, and this might be as far as you go, if you can, you could push that knee out a bit further, and that might be completely hard enough. If you're able to, the full position is to bring that left foot off the ground. My right hand goes through. I take hold of the back of that left knee. And it's a stretch for my right glute. Let's see if you can just slow your breathing down here. So looking for smooth breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then change sides. So place the left foot over. The ankle should be free to turn. That might be enough to just push the knee out, but if you feel you can do the full position, reach through and go back. You can flex that left foot, which will help recruit our anterior shin muscle and stabilize the knee. Let that breathing be full and steady. And we can release. So let's extend one leg flat, then the other. We'll take the arms up and over and stretch really long through your entire body. The arms come back, the knees bend up. We're going to finish with a cobra stretch. We're going to roll onto our tummy. Forehead resting on my thin block. My hands either side of the mat, about head height, just a bit above head height. Legs are together and active. Some activity in the glutes here. And then a push, or rather a lift up through the upper back. And there's that to press through the arms. I come up into a cobra stretch. Now you might not want to come up that high. You might not want to come up much higher than the elbows. Respect your spine here. A bit of discomfort in the back, feeling stretching is fine. Any sharp pinching, definitely not fine. The full position is to come up. And again, we're peeling up. You kind of rolling the spine, lifting it. One last time here. Hands about shoulder level. I'm just going to push up naturally now to all fours. We'll move through a cat stretch around and extend. We'll breathe out as we round. We'll breathe in as we extend. And then we'll come to the neutral. I'm going to come up by curling my toes under. So this is a roll up, right, similar to what we did at the beginning. We're going to walk our hands towards our knees. My heels go down. There's the mat there. Bit of depth in the knees. Head hangs down. Release the fingertips. Start to roll up. Think about having the weight even through across the foot, across the feet. Gradually rolling up, uncurling the spine. One link at a time. Bringing ourselves back into our key elements position. I'm going to finish with a tall stretch. I'm going to reach up through the arms. Stretch for the roof. And circle round.